Hello everyone, welcome to VCE Legal Studies, and today we're going to be learning about the rights of victims. Let's get around it. So we can see here where we are in terms of our study design roadmap. We've just finished learning about the rights of an accused person, and this next dot point, the rights of victims, is a sort of counterpoint. We look at what rights do accused people have in our legal system, and then we compare that in a way to, well, what sort of rights do victims have? What exactly do you need to know for this dot point? Well, there's three main things that you need to know about. The first is essentially that there's three main rights of victims that you need to learn. The first is the right to give evidence as a vulnerable witness. The second is that victims and witnesses have the right to be informed about the details of proceedings, court proceedings that are about to happen. And finally, victims have the right to be informed of the likely release date of the accused person. So let's have a little bit of a deeper dive into each of these three things. The first right of victims that you need to know is the right to give evidence as a vulnerable witness. And the main way in which this right is protected these days is there is legislation providing for alternative arrangements or alternative ways that witnesses and victims are allowed to give evidence. Now, these alternative arrangements, sadly, they're only available for certain types of offences. We only give this protection for witnesses and victims in family violence cases and sexual offence cases. But in those two types of cases, we allow them to give evidence in different ways to help them feel more comfortable. For example, we could let them give evidence from a different room, not from in the courtroom itself, but from a different place via closed circuit television, so via video basically. We let them have an emotional support person sit beside them when they give evidence, if that might make them feel more comfortable. Or alternatively, they could give evidence from behind a screen so that they don't have to see the accused person and so that the accused person can't see them. We could allow for only certain people to be in the courtroom when they give their evidence. Or we could ask or require the lawyers to wear normal clothes instead of their formal wigs and robes, if this might make the victim or witness feel more comfortable. So essentially, these alternative arrangements are the different ways we try to allow vulnerable witnesses to feel more comfortable giving evidence to make them feel safer in court. But they only apply to family violence and sexual offence cases. The second right of victims that you need to know about is the right to be informed of proceedings. Now, what this means is that victims who've been affected by a crime or an alleged crime have the right to be kept informed of the things that are happening with the case. So agencies like the police and the Office of Public Prosecutions, they are required to inform victims about things like support services that are available, legal assistance and things like that. They're also required to inform them about the progress of the criminal investigation. And once the case has started, once the prosecution itself has started, the prosecution must also inform the victim of things like the date of the trial, when it's going to start, how long it's going to take, in case, the location of the trial, in case they want to attend. After the trial, they need to tell them things like what happened, what the outcome was, were they found guilty or not, that sort of thing. So essentially, this right is all about the victim being in the know, being told what's happening, being kept in the loop, so that they can feel safe and confident that the legal process is working. And finally, the last right that we need to learn about for victims is the right to be informed of the likely release date of the accused person. Now, this is pretty straightforward. If you're a victim of a criminal act, you can apply to be registered on the victims register. Basically, you put your details down, your contact details down, so that when the offender is released, the victims register will send you information about their likely release date, whether or not they're being released on parole early or things like that, whether they've escaped from prison. And you have the right to make submissions to the parole board about whether this person should be allowed to be released on parole. And again, this right is intended to help victims feel safe For example, if they know that the offender is about to be released on parole, about to be released from jail, they might want to make arrangements with their life. Perhaps they might want to move to a different place, or make arrangements so as to not have to see that person. So that's the rights of the victims. That's not all you need to know, but it's a start. Have a good day.